To the People's Card Shop stream. We're gonna have Anthony versus Darren. Darren is gonna be playing mid-range Draven. I mean Irelia, and Anthony is gonna be playing mid-range Draven. It's gonna be basically a rematch of last round. Right now, we're having some issues with the camera. We're gonna get that fixed in just a second once we get all the graphics set up, but we just wanted to make sure that we have at least some of the footage from the beginning of the game so you guys don't miss it out. So last round we saw a 2-1 for Irelia and a one game win and two losses for the Draven deck. I'm big up on this Irelia deck. I love how it plays. I love being able to just have multiple counter spells and moving around units super fun. I'm not too keen on this mid-range Draven deck, but I know a lot of people really love it. It's a little too fair for me, but let's see how it goes down for both players. And just so you know, mid-range Draven usually classically starts with a Reaver's Row. Reaver's Row is when you defend here, you may move a friendly unit to base. That's all important. Then he rolled a 12. And it's all important because you get multiple effects of the Kaisa and specifically Draven. So it's going to be really awesome here. All right, both players are going to head and decide on the mulligan. And we are going to go ahead and fix the player cams. We're just having some issues with the cameras overheating, but we will get that fixed in just a second. Thanks for all your patience. And thanks for just coming on in to our locals every week. It's pretty awesome that we have, a bunch of people just coming in watching us play. It's pretty sick. All right, it's going to be the mulligan. Both players want to be starting off with a nice little curve here. The cool thing about Irelia is it doesn't necessarily need to play this perfect curve, at least in the beginning. A 2-drop would be nice, but oftentimes it kind of sacks the early turn. But here it is. He's playing a Lonely Poro. It's a 2 might, 2 energy unit. When this unit dies alone, it draws a card. So it's great for at least the early game of Irelia being able to draw cards. Overzealous Fan matched for Anthony being just a 2 might unit having be able to contest the board. Most likely going to be Boots here if he's paying 3 mana. Boots is going to be very important for the turn leading up to Irelia. Ooh, choosing to go ahead and put the Boots on the Lonely Poro here, that is going to be a strong move because, 4 might is nothing to scoff at. And if Anthony goes ahead and tries to use a removal spell, then, they'll be able to draw a card. What's up, Unlike God? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you guys for coming in and watching. Our Nexus nights, we stream here at 6:30. So we stream 3 rounds, and it's going to be the Overzealous Fan coming into the Reaver's Row here. The cool thing about Overzealous Fan is it gets to go ahead and kind of play defense for this Draven. That's what I was going to say. Oftentimes, the way that Draven wins versus Irelia is kind of just denying them points by either setting up a fat stack or having like push spells, even though it kind of deramps them and stops, it's a little unfortunate for the Draven deck. The Draven deck is really trying to win on tempo here, trying to score points fast and end up stealing the win with something like Ride the Wind. So the cool thing about the Draven deck I've seen in a lot of lists is Anthony here hit a hidden card. It's oftentimes going to be a fight or flight, but it definitely can be something like Edge of Night. And the Irelia player choosing to go ahead and just develop his board with the Guardian's Angel, oftentimes the Irelia player wants to set up a big turn with multiple gears on the field before the Irelia comes down. And the Tide Turner, I love Tide Turner, one of the trickiest cards in the game, being able to go ahead and just move this Draven and go ahead and get this double conquer. The issue is this Poro is going to be 4 to the 4 of Draven, with his power going to go to 6. Anthony basically saying, do you have a buff spell? With a plethora of cards in hand, Ooh, and he's choosing to let the Lonely Poro die here. That that might look like a confusing move because you're gonna give Anthony a draw and a Gold Gear token here, but he's probably playing for the future here because oftentimes you cannot detach equipment from your unit unless you have a special ability, and it looks like it's gonna be the turn where you drop Irelia down, so it's gonna be setting up for that turn. Here you go, and there's beautiful faces of both players. Shout outs to Michael being able to fix it. He's the camera guy. And here we go. The queen herself, Irelia, is coming down. And that's the thing with Irelia. The turn it comes down, you want to basically make waves. You want to make it as big and powerful as possible. So here we go, putting the GA on. So this is the sequencing that I like. Basically what's going to happen here is he's going to move the Irelia into a battlefield, conquer that battlefield, end up tapping a mana to untap the Irelia unit ability, and then we'll be able to basically equip the boots and make it move on here. But choosing not to do that here, he might have a pump spell of his own to go ahead and target the Irelia, so it'll be able to move back. Let's see what Anthony is doing. Also, that's Darren. Ooh, and double spinning axe here. Let's see what the Irelia has, and it's going to be a on guard to go ahead and give it +3. But more importantly, it's going to draw a card off Dreaming Tree. But is that going to go ahead and be enough? It is going to be 6, 9, 12 versus the boots, the GAs. That's going to be 3, 2 each. Unguard, another 3, so it's going to be 8, it's going to be 12. It's not going to be enough, and just like that, Anthony loses both copies of the Spinning Axes. Spinning Axe is such a powerful card in this matchup because it doesn't trigger the deflect, and for Anthony to go ahead and lose those two axes is a backbreaker here. And in the beginning, Derek was losing in the early game, but right now we have an Irelia that by itself has a lot of might, and it's going to be tough for Anthony to try to break this board right now. But let's see how he can maneuver it with just 4 runes. So right now, Draven needs to set up some units that threaten this Irelia. That's often the problem sometimes. Once Irelia gets going, it kind of ignores a lot of the units here, and the only way to win is to try to get a bunch of might on board. And with charms, that is going to be a plan that's not going to work out. Being able to slowly whittle away the board. More importantly, this Overzealous Fan is an annoying card against Irelia, being able to die her point, but now being able to trade this charm for this. Yeah, I think Anthony was just asking if he is able to use the trigger of the Overzealous Fan. I don't believe so because that is how you say the charm is making him the attacking player. And there you go, using the boots of swiftness. I often say I have played against a lot of Irelia, and the games where they have boots of swiftness and the games where they don't have boots of swiftness is honestly night or day. Being able to, one, have an ever looming threat of having a card that continually can over and over target your Irelia to make it bigger and untap, but also being able to move up and down battlefields, being able to score double points. Just want to say thank you to the 48 people watching this match. If you really like what you guys see here, we stream every 6:30 at the People's Card Shop Twitch. We stream 3 Nexus Night matches. Come check it out. We also upload VODs at our YouTube channel, Conquer and Hold. Come check us out. And here we go. Anthony having 6 mana, that's a lot better than where he was at before, having to pay double recycle cost for the spinning axe. The issue here is I don't know what monsters can threaten this Irelia. Oftentimes, the way to beat Irelia is you try to go under her, and then the turn where they have a big Irelia, you kind of use your removal spells to push her back, and because you have a point lead, you're able to go ahead and score a double conquer and still win. But when the game is slowed down to a halt and it's super simplified, this Irelia deck just becomes so strong. And yeah, we'll go ahead and link the YouTube fun sign. I'd appreciate you coming in, and we actually had a 2K, and we're gonna upload VODs of that 2K. But man, Derek's hand is stacked right now. I can see there is a charm, there's a not so fast, and slowly, Anthony is being just put through the ringer of this here. And is he gonna go ahead and put a second GA in here? In normal League of Legends, double GA is not a combo, but in Riftbound, double GA is one of the most annoying things you can have here. And it's game one, so something like a Thermo Beam is not possible. Yep, and right now Anthony is just trying to figure out what he can do, and that's what I keep saying here. That Irelia is going to set up this basically god tier monster, being having deflect and just getting bigger and bigger as it stands, and every unopened mana is just a counterspell waiting to happen for Derek. Okay, it's going to be a Darius himself. Darius is a great card to try to fight over this Irelia here, but the issue is the Guardian Angel is going to be basically protect the Irelia, and then she can come back and get a revenge kill on the Darius, scoring the point back, basically making Darius just worth a point here. But the Treasure Hunter, I believe, is going to move and score a point. Treasure Hunter in combination with something like a Tide Turner is a awesome combo, being able to generate multiple gold. If we learned anything from the previous match, that gold is so strong. It is a powerful mechanic, being able to go ahead and and a fight or flight, pushing back the alpha strike from Anthony causes Derek for the win. And that's the thing. Derek had open mana, had a giant Irelia, everything was going his way. But at the beginning he was basically sacking off turns, losing points, and he knew that as long as he played it slow and didn't get 2 for 1 a little too much, he was able to pull it out. Oftentimes with the Draven versus Irelia matchup, at least for the mid-range Draven, the Irelia deck is a ticking time bomb. Now we're going to go ahead to go to game two. Irelia often has Obelisk start as going first, but not as going second. I wonder what the going first battlefield is going to be for Derek. For Anthony, the cool thing is Draven has a lot of powerful things that they can start off with. Something like an Arena's Greatest to kind of push a point lead, but we're going to find out what Anthony is going to have when it is revealed. But yeah, if you like what we're seeing here, we stream every 6:30, so come check it out. We have a lot of awesome matches, a lot of good players coming in. And the cool thing about having just the locals in Vegas is in Vegas there's a lot of people visiting, so we get a lot of out-of-towners, a lot of surprise guests on this stream that just show up. You know, at our 2K, we actually had Prismat and Alan ZQ show up and dominate our 2K right before the regionals, and that was awesome. If you want to see those matches, we have them uploaded on our YouTube, but also check out, if you're subscribed to this Twitch channel, we have them up on our VODs. But this, besides losing the game, this is where the Draven wants to be. The Draven definitely wants to start off going first because just setting up a bunch of early minions might be able to out-tempo this Irelia. And it's going to be Targon's Peak for the Irelia, but what is it going to be for the Draven? And it's going to be Obelisk of Power. That is a interesting one to go second with because normally what you want to do is to use Obelisk of Power to go first to turn on your sneaky deckhands. But honestly, Obelisk of Power is such a powerful going second battlefield because it basically just lets you start off with extra runes. And with Irelia, you want to have more mana because more mana means you get to be able to just play more spells. And if you play more spells than your Draven opponent, the Irelia opponent just has better like combo ability. And we're starting off with a Tide Turner. The beauty of Tide Turner is that late game, it is this crazy card that gets a lot of stuff going, but also it applies a lot of pressure. Here you go, and with Obelisk, you get to start off with 4 here. You could definitely play a 2-drop like we saw, but I like developing a gear here. It's going to be a GA, leaving 2 mana up. 2 mana up can mean a fight or flight, but oftentimes, sometimes you would like to save the fight or flight for the final push turn. But also, if Derek sees that he might not be able to fight off this Tide Turner, he might just fight or flight to push it back, choosing not to. But the one thing now is Anthony can go ahead and develop his board as much as possible and still untap 2. Playing 4, and he'll be able to untap 2 due to the Targon's Peep, which makes things like Hard Bargain or Spinning Axe a live card. We can see a Thunder Song, a Spinning Axe in hand, and a Switcheroo. Switcheroo is such a backbreaker versus Irelia sometimes because oftentimes Irelia will get to this large number and Anthony will oftentimes be down to D-Ramp 3 if that means it kind of will get a 4-for-1 trading for all the pump spells that Derek will use.
GA is just so strong in Irelia, though. Every time I see, like, Irelia on the field with a GA, you have to do so much. Like, even Switcheroo, no matter how broken it is, it's just trading for the GA at times.
But here's the power of Obelisk being able to basically run this Irelia out as soon as possible. Normally, you kind of can, like, out-tempo out this Irelia, but let's see, does he have the Rebuke here? Rebuke would be so powerful, but oh man, a Falling Star. That's not necessarily the worst answer against Irelia. Sure, you have to D-ramp, but when facing down something like a Guardian Angel, it is going to be terrible. But let's see if he has something like a Factory Recall to bounce back this GA reaction speed and a on guard to kind of ruin the plans of it. But honestly, ooh, a hard bargain. But is it going to be also followed up with an acceptable loss, a Factory Recall to bounce it? No.
Could have been acceptable losses.
It could have also been acceptable loss. That would have been fire too, honestly.
You just have to do so much in order to get rid of that Irelia, but you're really just getting rid of the GA.
The play that I really liked that Anthony did was to move this Tide Turner back here. Oftentimes versus Irelia, there is usually one battlefield open because Irelia is a one monster protect the president style deck. So as long as you have one monster in the backfield, you'll be able to always at least score 1 point, even if you can't contest the Irelia battlefield.
Okay.
And the Irelia moving up here, scoring to 2 points, and he has a charm in hand. This charm is going to be so powerful. if he uses it on maybe like this Draven. Yep, let's see it. Oh, on the overzealous fan, I don't mind that because no battle tricks, nothing can happen, and that's a guaranteed kill right there. And it's going to be the boots of swiftness here. Oh no, he's going to go ahead and target this Irelia with the Irelia effect of the legend. She'll be able to deramp. And the thing about it is there's no issue with deramping to so little if you have so much power on your board. And this Irelia is going to be the strongest thing for a while because both players are on low resources. And that's the thing with the Irelia deck. Oftentimes people see this Irelia deck as this crazy combo deck, but the Irelia deck also thrives in low economy situations because it is such an annoying card to get rid of.
Man, I'm glad Ornn isn't better because Deflect 1 is already annoying enough. I don't need Deflect 2 on my opponent's field.
And this is it here. Anthony really, really going in the tank here. Irelia is such a frustrating card to get rid of.
Honestly, it's on the back of that GA half the time. GA protecting Irelia is basically 2 mana play a free Irelia. We really have to think here. It is low points, 2 to 3, but if we let Irelia get too out of control,
Yeah,
it's hard to
Irelia is
claw
one of
back.
those decks where the point total doesn't really matter sometimes because once it establishes such a strong hold on the game, if it is down to a couple of cards, it doesn't matter because it's going to be impossible for Anthony to kind of score that many points being on such low cards.
Into this matchup specifically, I do favor the Miracle Draven list. But into most of the field, except for Irelia, I do like the mid-range Draven. It's just very consistent. It feels like Kaisa, like without the overpowered pings, you just get overpowered bodies and draw instead. But Irelia doesn't care about going early tempo. Like normally Draven gets a lot of draw early because it's winning these smaller combats with people. It's like early game units. But there are really no early game units for Irelia to lose most of the time. And treasure hunters, they don't even mind fight or flaying it back before it's your turn anyway, just to get extra tokens.
And a fight or flight coming down for Derek targeting this Tide Turner. Honestly, the reason why is probably just because multiple spinning axes might be one of the few ways Derek could actually just lose this game. But also, we know that he has a switcheroo.
It's sadly,
Yeah, it
man,
is a
a
switcheroo. It's going to be switcheroo is going to be one of the few answers to break this huge board. But no, it's going to be a point taken from Derek, and now it is getting scary. One of the things is you can be 1 point, your opponent can be 1 point ahead, that's perfectly fine. But if they're 2 points ahead, that's a whole turn cycle of scoring points. And right now, the Draven deck would have a tough time pushing off this Irelia.
Okay, we need an accelerated unit that was big. So Kaisa wouldn't have done it, but this Darius might. Spinning Axe Darius, that is a gigantic amount of might right there.
And the fight or flight might have seemed like a good move earlier, but here I would have loved to have fight or flight to push back this Darius. The one solace is that this G8 will be able to go ahead and protect this Irelia from fully dying here. Ooh, but a Defiant Dance to go ahead and ruin the math of the combat. That's one of the scariest things about Irelia is you really have to take into account all these battle tricks that could potentially happen. 2 mana is a world of points for this Irelia deck, especially when it's targeting the Irelia unit, which has the ability of every time she's chosen, she gets +1. So it adds even more depth to things like Defiant Dance or Discipline. So it's going to be 7, 10 from the Darius, and 2 from the Tide Turner, and it's not going to be enough facing down this Irelia, and that looks like it's going to be the nail in the coffin here. We're going to go to 6 for Derek, move over to the Targon's Peak, go to 7, and we're going to have 2 cards in hand, nothing in the backfield for Anthony. It looks like this is just basically
game's not over,
here.
but it's over. There's really nothing left to do unless we have a rebuke.
A rebuke here would be Anthony's destiny draw. It would be something that finally puts it back. But the issue here is even with a rebuke,
we're so behind on tempo. He has the gear still on the field. He just played again.
And that's too much. And there it is, a swift 2-0 from Derek. Derek piloting this great. Not the best hand from Anthony, but honestly, I really do feel like Irelia is favored in this matchup.
Yeah, both Irelias took it, though, first round and this round. Watching this matchup, it is really hard for the Draven to come ahead. It's like even if they push out early tempo and they get so ahead on the board, unless they're stacking bodies, there's that one crucial turn where Irelia can swing over everything. And once Irelia swings over everything versus a mid-range deck, you're kind of out of the game. Because then no matter what happens, the gears stay on the board. That's why gears are so powerful, especially in Irelia, because the targeting buffs her. They're there forever. Okay, well that was a quick round 2. There is 30 minutes left on the timer, and then we'll be back with round 3. Remember, this is the People's Card Shop, and we are Conquer and Hold. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in 30 minutes with our next round.